Welcome to TalkTickers. We're your shortcut to understanding the key takeaways from today's earnings calls.
And today we're diving into Roblox. They just had their Q1 2025 call.
Right. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. Unpack those financials, look at their strategy, and figure out what it all means. What's the big picture?
Well, the big picture is growth, pretty much across the board, actually. And they beat their own guidance.
Okay, let's get into specifics then. Revenue.
Revenue hit $1.035 billion. That's up 29% year over year.
Nice jump. And bookings, I heard that was even stronger.
It was $1.207 billion. So yeah, up 31%, also beating their projections.
Okay, so the money side looks good. What about the people actually using the platform, the users?
Also growing strong, daily active users, or DAUs, reached 97.8 million.
Wow, almost 100 million.
Exactly. And that's a 26% rise from last year, and they're spending more time there too. 21.7 billion hours logged, up 30%.
That's a lot of hours. Now, you mentioned beating guidance, and I saw something about cash flow that looked, well, pretty impressive.
Oh, absolutely. Cash from operations was $443 million. That's an 86% increase.
86%?
Yeah. And free cash flow, $426 million. That's up a massive 123% year over year. Both numbers way above what they guided for.
So they're not just growing, they're becoming more efficient at turning that growth into actual cash.
That's exactly right. Speaks volumes about their operational management.
Okay, and what about the creators, the people actually building the experiences? Are they seeing benefits?
Looks like it. They're projecting creator earnings to top $1 billion this year.
$1 billion, with a B.
Yep. And the DevEx payouts, that's the money they actually pay out to developers, hit $281 million just in Q1. That's up 39%.
So the ecosystem seems pretty healthy then. Money flowing in, users growing, creators earning more.
That's the story the numbers tell, yeah.
All right, let's dig a bit deeper. Where's this growth coming from, geographically?
Well, the US and Canada are still solid. Good growth there. DAUs up 22%, bookings up 31%. Pretty standard.
Okay, but I gather the bigger story is elsewhere.
Definitely. Asia Pacific, or APAC, DAUs there jumped 40%.
40%?
Yeah. And specific countries are even wilder. Japan, up 48%. India, up 77%.
77% in India. Wow.
Yeah, and engagement, hours spent, followed that same kind of trajectory. So they're clearly finding traction in those markets.
That's huge potential. And what about the age groups? It used to be seen as mostly for kids, right? Is that changing?
Big time. The 13 and over demographic is really the engine now. DAUs in that group grew 36% year over year.
36%. And what share do they represent now?
They're now 62% of the total DAUs. And they account for 64% of the total hours spent on the platform.
So well over half. That's a fundamental shift in their user base.
It really is. Suggests a broadening appeal, moving well beyond that initial perception.
Okay, makes sense. Now, underpinning all this growth, how are they managing the business itself? Costs, efficiency.
They seem quite focused on it. They talked about thoughtful cost management, and it looks like it's working. Well, personnel costs, if you strip out stock-based compensation, are growing slower than revenue and bookings.
That's the kind of discipline you want to see, contributing to that strong cash flow, I assume.
Exactly. It all ties together.
And what about areas like, say, trust and safety? That must be a significant cost.
It is, and they are investing more in absolute dollars. But importantly, it's becoming a smaller percentage of revenue and bookings over time.
Ah, so they're finding efficiencies there too. How?
AI seems to be a big part of it. They're using it more for moderation, which apparently improves both the speed and the quality.
Interesting. And is AI being used elsewhere?
Yeah, they mentioned it helping with code development too, so it's becoming a tool for broader operational efficiency, not just moderation.
Okay, let's swing back to the creators. We touch on earnings, but what about the tools Roblox is giving them, like that differential Robux pricing?
Right, that and also the inexperience price optimization tools. Both seem to be having a positive impact, meaning median creator earnings are going up. These tools seem to be helping creators actually make more money from their experiences.
And they're trying localized pricing too, aren't they?
They are, rolling out regional pricing, starting with game passes, basically letting creators set different prices in different countries.
Makes sense. How's that going?
Early tests are positive, they said. And the plan is to expand it to other things, like in-game items and stuff in the avatar marketplace.
So more flexibility for creators, potentially more revenue from diverse markets.
That's the idea.
What about finding stuff? Search and discovery, is that getting better? It can be hard to find new games sometimes.
They're working on it. said their priority is promoting diverse content and the long-term health of the whole system.
And they're being more open about how it works.
Apparently so. Giving creators more transparency into the algorithms, trying to make it feel fairer, I guess.
That's important for keeping creators happy. And we heard some are doing really well financially.
Yeah, over 100 creators apparently earned more than $1 million last year.
100 creators hitting 7 figures.
Yep. And the top earners are seeing big growth. Plus, you're seeing more M&A activity, like studios getting bought. It suggests the whole ecosystem is maturing, becoming more valuable.
Like that goal they mentioned of having a Roblox studio worth $1 billion.
Exactly. Seems like they're making progress towards that kind of valuation becoming reality within their ecosystem.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Roblox versus the wider gaming world. They have some pretty big ambitions, right?
They do. They stated a goal of capturing 10% of the entire gaming market, measured by consumer spending.
10%. That's ambitious. Are they gaining ground?
Well, they're currently growing faster than the overall industry average, so they're moving in the right direction.
And how are they planning to get there?
By focusing on key game genres, things like RPGs, sports, racing, battle games, genres that traditionally monetize well and appeal to that older demographic they're capturing.
Right. And they've seen growth there already.
Significant growth, yeah.
Yeah.
They said 69% year-over-year growth in those specific genres on the platform.
And their tech helps with this, presumably. The whole build once, run anywhere thing.
Crucial. That core tech, letting a single build work across phones, PCs, consoles, different network speeds, that's fundamental to their strategy of supporting diverse genres and reaching a massive audience.
Makes sense. They're also doing things like live events, right? And partnerships.
Yeah, they highlighted The Hunt Mega Edition as a successful live opta that drove a lot of engagement.
And the partnerships. I saw Google mentioned.
Right, partnering with Google to scale up advertising, specifically video and rewarded video ads.
So bringing more traditional ad formats onto the platform.
Seems like it. Plus, they're adding more ad tech and analytics providers. The goal is to offer creators a whole menu of ways to monetize premium subscriptions, paid access, ads, brand deals, even licensing.
And our brand's biting.
Seems so. They listed quite a few NASCAR, PGA Tour, European soccer leagues like the Bundesliga, the Ad Council, Headspace, Alo Yoga, Chipotle.
Wow, that's a diverse list. From sports to wellness to fast food.
Exactly. Shows brands see Roblox as a place to reach a pretty broad audience now.
Okay, let's talk AI again. It seems to pop up everywhere in their strategy. What are the big AI pushes?
Well, the big one is probably Cube 3D. That's their own foundational model for generating 3D content, trained on their huge library.
And people are using it.
Over 1,500 experiences are already experimenting with generative 3D AI using it, they said.
And where's that heading?
Towards full 3D scene creation, and even what they're calling 4D generation.
4D. What's that?
Basically, interactive assets with code embedded. Think like generating a car that actually functions and you can drive right away.
Okay, that's pretty advanced. Anything else on the AI front?
Yeah, they have a text generation API in beta using an LLM, a large language model. So you could have NPCs, non-player characters that you can actually converse with.
Like ChatGPT inside a Roblox game.
Sort of, yeah. And they mentioned having over 300 machine learning models running in-house already, focused initially on trust and safety, aiming for low latency and efficiency.
Speaking of trust and safety, always critical. What's the latest there?
Continuous focus. They launched a new version of their open source AI voice classifier in April. Better accuracy, more efficient at catching bad stuff in voice chat.
Good. And parental controls.
Added 3 new ones in April as well. Plus, they joined something called the Roost Consortium.
What's that?
Seems like an industry group working on safety and civility standards across platforms, so collaborating with others.
Okay, good to see continued effort there. Let's circle back to the financials for a minute. Beyond the headline growth, any other indicators of health?
Yeah, one interesting point was the growth beyond the absolute top experiences. Those ranked, say, 11th to 50th, saw bookings grow over 100% year over year.
So it's not just the mega hits carrying all the weight. The middle is getting stronger.
Seems that way. A broadening base of success, which is healthy for the ecosystem.
And what about regionally? Europe seemed a bit slower on users.
Yeah, DAU and our growth were a bit slower, partly due to Turkey being offline impacting numbers. But interestingly, bookings growth in Europe is still keeping pace with other regions.
So monetization per user might be holding up or even improving there.
Possibly. And overall, their margins have improved significantly over the last year and a half, way more than they guided for.
But they don't expect that pace of margin improvement to continue.
No, they signaled that's likely unsustainable. But they do expect cash flow growth to keep outpacing bookings growth. And their balance sheet is strong. Lots of cash.
And how do they see themselves holding up if the economy, hits a rough patch?
Historically, they said they've seen relatively low impact during downturns, maybe because a lot of the spending is smaller, microtransaction-based.
Oh, okay. So looking ahead, how are they planning to make more money? Where are the monetization levers?
Well, the main focus is still growing users and engagement DAUs and hours. The belief is monetization follows that, especially as they lean into those genres that typically monetize better.
Right, like the RPGs and sports games.
Exactly. Plus, those tools we talked about, automatic price optimization, regional pricing, are already helping bookings per hour.
Any other factors?
Yeah, they mention a shift towards payment methods that have higher leverage for them, basically more profitable payment types. And the gift card business is apparently still going strong.
Okay. What about advertising? Is that a major focus for revenue growth now?
It's contributing already and growing, but they're not breaking it out as a huge separate line item yet. Seems like they'll do that when it reaches a larger scale.
Got it. So investment priorities, where's the money going?
Key priorities are increasing those creator payouts, continuing to slowly improve margins, but also finding efficiencies, especially using AI, to lower costs like payment processing and trust and safety relative to bookings.
And keeping personnel cost growth below revenue growth.
Right. Sticking to that disciplined approach.
Let's just zoom in on AI one last time. Beyond efficiency and content generation, how do they see it fundamentally changing things?
They really frame it as a human acceleration tool for their own engineers, for creators, even for users.
So not replacing people, but making them better, faster, more creative.
That's the pitch. Higher quality, more output, more creativity, but with humans still guiding it.
Any specific future examples?
They threw out ideas like generative 3D fashion experiences or other new kinds of in-experience creations using embedded AI. The possibilities seem pretty open.
And e-commerce. They mentioned Shopify. Is that a big near-term thing?
More long-term vision, it sounds like. They see it as important for reaching that billion DAU goal eventually, moving beyond just virtual goods maybe.
To physical items?
Potentially. The Shopify integration is very early days, but the vision includes things like virtual shopping experiences, maybe even tying ad views on Roblox to actual physical purchases later.
Closing the loop, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so summing up for investors listening, what's the key message from this call?
I'd say it's strong execution and momentum. They beat guidance, growth is solid, especially internationally and with older users. The creator economy looks healthy and growing.
And the efficiency focus is paying off in cash flow.
Definitely. AI is helping drive that efficiency and positions them well for future innovation. While there are always macro risks, their model seems resilient. E-commerce is maybe a longer-term kicker.
So overall, a positive story of growth, efficiency, and future potential, especially with AI.
That seems to be the core message they wanted to convey, yes.
Okay, this is not financial advice. Time for our outrageous but plausible trade ideas based on all this. You go first.
All right. So thinking about that explosive growth in places like India and APAC and the success of regional pricing, what if you looked at companies that make money from advertising in those same high-growth markets?
Okay, like social media or streaming platforms with big user bases there.
Exactly. Maybe go long on one of those, particularly one strong in APAC, and perhaps short a more traditional gaming company focused only on mature markets like the US, Europe.
What's the thesis?
The thesis is Roblox is basically training a whole new generation of digital consumers in these emerging economies. As these users get comfortable spending online, they'll likely spread that spending to other digital platforms active in their region. It's a bet on Roblox creating a ripple effect. Volatile, maybe, but plausible.
Interesting ripple effect idea. Okay, my turn. I'm looking at the AI side, specifically the generative 3D stuff, and aiming for functional assets, that 4D generation.
Right, the interactive cars and things.
Yeah. So what if, as these virtual worlds become more interactive and, frankly, more real feeling, the demand for physical feedback grows?
Haptics, like vibrating controllers or vests.
Exactly. So the trade idea, maybe a long position in a smaller, publicly traded company that specializes in haptic feedback technology for immersive experiences.
The idea being that Roblox makes the worlds visually and interactively richer, and this other tech adds the physical feel.
Precisely. It's a bet that the evolution of the metaverse needs more than just better graphics. It needs better feel, a longer-term play on where digital interaction might go.
Outrageous, but I can see the logic. Plausible.
All right, that wraps up our deep dive on the Roblox Q1 2025 earnings call. We've hit the big numbers, the strategic moves in AI, creator tools, global expansion.
Yeah, covered a lot of ground, from user growth to those potential future e-commerce plays.
So for you listening, what stood out the most? What questions are still buzzing around in your head about where Roblox goes next?
Remember, this is just our take to get the conversation started.
Absolutely. Keep digging, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time on TalkTickers for more earnings insights.